India's commodity derivative market has seen a series of changes. Volumes dropped in agriculture after SEBI suspended trading of 7 agri commodities including wheat, paddy, chana, mustard, moong, among others, till December 2023, with the aim to control inflation. Previously, SEBI had banned trading these commodities till last December 2022. Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta, and to discuss the outlook for 2023 for the commodity derivative market, I am now joined by Mr. Arun Raste. He's Managing Director and CEO at National Commodities and Derivatives Exchange. Mr. Raste, hi, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC-TV18. It has been a challenging year 2022 for you, whether it was about government controls, contract suspensions, bans, etc. What is it that you're taking as in sense of learning from the year gone by?
Good afternoon, Manisha. It's good to be here in 2023. 2022 was challenging, but every challenge, teaches you something. So for us, the learning was, one, you need to go beyond the conventional agri basket that we were specializing in. We need to get into commodities which are not so sensitive as far as the housewife's budget is concerned. And we need to grow the market both depth as well as wider reach. So that was a learning for us. And with that learning, we are getting into 2023, scouting for new products, which will be interesting for markets as well as market participants, and which will impact a lot of the stakeholders positively. So that is our learning from 2022. And we are very positive that we will be doing well in 23.
Mr. Raste, the last year, while it had its challenges, we also saw FPOs in number continue to increase. You've launched newer commodities, whether it was steel or coffee for that matter. And then the markets are looking at options and index trading as well, not just futures. How has that number worked out for you?
Well, coffee, the contract actually, though we launched it in September, its effective date is February onwards. So we don't know how it will shape up. But since coffee is the second largest commodity consumed globally every morning, we are very sure that we will do well. And our coffee, contract will be mirroring the aspiration of the young India. As far as steel is concerned, it is the largest commodity, industrial commodity, and twice it was launched earlier in different phases. It didn't work, but hopefully this time it will work because we have seen so far the traction is good. So hopefully steel should do well for us in this year.
Mr. Raste, I was talking to you earlier and you mentioned that there are nearly 91 commodities that have been approved for trading into the derivative market. And our number, the final number that we see currently, is quite small. How many commodities are we trading right now? And do you have plans to introduce more commodities into 2023?
So that was one learning from 2022. What we did was we looked at our own exchange and what were the products which we had launched earlier and we had to withdraw. And then we also looked at some of the other exchanges which closed down and the kind of products which they had. So we scanned and we realized that there are commodities like isabgol, which are very specialized in, say, Ayurveda and medicines. It was doing well, and somehow it was, withdrawn by that particular exchange because that exchange closed down. So we looked at isabgol and we are launching that in this particular year. There's one growth area which everybody is talking about, right from UN Secretary General and our Prime Minister, that is carbon credits. And hopefully, India will be a carbon credits positive country. And we see a lot of scope in carbon credits. And that is one of those 91 commodities where futures could be launched. So we are looking at that. We have already, formed a product advisory committee for carbon credits. And hopefully by this year end, we should be through with our work and submit our proposal to the regulator for launching carbon credits. Having said that, last year, as we started this deal, we are looking at non-agri space. So we'll be looking at a couple of other, metals, and definitely we'll be giving you some news going forward.
All right, I will wait for that. Mr. Raste, also, this is about instruments and commodities that can be introduced, and this has been a positive, really. As you said, the optimism clearly is brimming when I talk to you here. But what about the participation? Because institutional participation still is missing. Would you say that the change in contract specifications is yet another thing to look for?
So institutional participation is, missing on two counts. Some of those, like, say, FPI is not allowed in agri at all. So unless that happens, they will not come in. So it has to be a regulatory measure for that. As far as other, domestic institutional participation is concerned, there are 2 or 3 different kinds of people. It is either the alternative investment funds or mutual funds. 1 or 2 have started, but the number is still to grow. The reason why it is not growing is commodities is still seen as a very, very specialized and niche market, and not many people understand. And there is a fear that if something goes wrong, what will I do with the underlying? So therefore, we need to look at products where the financial sector players will not have to worry about the underlying commodities, and they can still deal with it. So that is something which will, going forward, which will be our focus area.
All right. And you know what, Mr. Raste, the exchange heads now can't just be exchange heads. You have to be an academician. You have to be a person who's sensitive to political movements, also global movements. And 22 clearly has taught us that as well. So whether it was about COVID lockdown and the increased consumption that we saw after that, or the supply shock that we saw coming after Russia, Ukraine, etc., how have you been able to manage that? And what are the learnings from there which you are implementing now in this year?
So there are 2 or 3 learnings. Under our IPFT program, we were so far concentrating only on a small set of investors. But then we realized that there is a huge set of investors which suddenly came into the market in the last 2 years, especially in equity markets, thanks to Zerodhas and upstocks of the world. Now they haven't come into commodities market because, as I said, the commodity market is considered as something which is a little tricky, which is a very difficult market. And then we realized this need, and therefore what we have targeted is this time we're getting into universities and colleges. And there, right from the undergrad to graduation level, we are looking at teaching people on commodity derivatives. So once we invest into people who are in their 18 and 20s, they'll be invested into commodities for next 40, 50, 60 years till the time they are earning. So that is something which is a big learning for us.
All right. Just to wind out this conversation, I have a final question. And this is about, while clearly, I mean, as you said, talked about commodities and, the inflation concerns and the every measure, whether it's about import duty, tax duties, stock limit, etc., does impact commodities in some sense. How are you working with the government, sensitizing them, ensuring that they also in some sense come on the platform, make use of this?
Again, 22 taught us something very interesting. So, there are 3 kinds of, training programs which Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy conducts. One is for, freshers, those who join IAS. One is mid-career, and one is senior. And fortunately for us, they have given us opportunity to, come and speak to the IAS officers. We have started with that. Then we have started with NABARD and SBI, the bankers. So we are reaching out to people who matter in this particular field, whether it is bankers or whether it is administrators. We haven't gone yet into political class, but hopefully going forward, we'll do that as well.
All right. So there's a big list of what needs to be done in 2023, and Mr. Raste clearly put out that list for us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we have a lot to look forward to when it comes to agri commodities, to NCDEX itself, when it comes to launching more commodities going forward there. With that, we'll go for a short break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we have a discussion with Ashok Gautam, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at India International Bullion Exchange, coming out after this break.